However, I'm happy to say that yes. However, I'm happy to say that timely measures and gradual normalization steps, combined with our strong healthcare infrastructure, a diversified incentive system, and various financial supports, have balanced things and are leading the way to a strong recovery in Turkey. Indeed, at the end of 2020, Turkey was one of the few countries with positive economic growth. As announced recently, the Turkish economy has recorded a growth rate of 7% in the first quarter of 2021, compared with the same quarter of the previous year. This growth rate is faster not only than all the OECD economies, but also all countries in the world, with the exception of China. Currently, unemployment is a little high, we must accept, but within the framework of the medium-term development plan of Turkey, we are targeting to lower the unemployment rate to around 11% by the year 2023. Our global exports volume showed good performance last April and reached $19 billion, increasing by 109% compared to the same period last year. Over the past decade, Turkey's economic performance and the bold reforms we launched have been welcomed by international investors. Turkey has now emerged as a regional and global investment center. Despite the pandemic, Turkey attracted $7.8 billion of foreign investment last year. Turkey presents vast opportunities for Canadian companies as a production hub and export base. With its vibrant population of over 85 million and strategic location, Turkey offers a significant potential for companies to grow their business network, not only within the country, but also in the wider region and beyond, including Europe, Russia, Central Asia, North Africa, and the Middle East. Turkey is also a natural aviation hub with its brand new airport in Istanbul. Turkish Airlines is the #1 company which flies to most destinations in the world. And Turkish Airlines flies from Montreal and Toronto traditionally, and now directly from Vancouver to Istanbul. It's a long haul, but I advise you to go. It's a brand new plane. From there, you can do business in Turkey or connect to the rest of the world. We would also love to see Air Canada start flying again to Turkey, and I hope that happens. In the recent years, the trade volume between Turkey and Canada has gained a remarkable impetus. Yet, the existing trade volume is far from reflecting the potential. Increasing our connection with logistical lines will not only increase our bilateral trade volume, but also enrich people-to-people ties. Of course, Canadian tourists are always most welcome. Another promising area is the shipping industry. I'm glad that a Turkish shipbuilding firm has recently won a contract in British Columbia for the construction of a fleet of 5 green, by that I mean electric and gas driven tugboats, scheduled to be delivered by the year 2023. This will be one of the world's most technologically advanced and environmentally friendly fleets to date. Turkey is very competitive in this field. I'm also aware that Turkish business people from various sectors are willing to invest more in Canada. The visit by the representatives of major Turkish construction companies in Toronto back in mid-2019, just before the pandemic, was a very good first step. We should give impetus to such visits in the period ahead. There are a wide range of sectors and fields which we can focus upon, such as innovation, healthcare, artificial intelligence, aerospace, education, environmental technologies, software engineering, and next generation technologies. We should also focus on exploring mutual investment opportunities in these areas. I'm confident that this meeting will help us in this direction. As we finally see things, signs of an economic bounce back on the horizon, and the pandemic is in our rear mirror, we invite all Canadian companies to explore the investment opportunities in Turkey. Our embassy and 3 consulates in Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver are always ready to help you in any way we can. Merci beaucoup. Thank you. Teşekkürler ve iyi toplantılar diliyorum herkese. Sağ olun.
Thank you, Ambassador, for those very useful comments and observations about doing business in Turkey. Canada is fortunate to have someone with your experience, gravitas, and energy promoting the Turkey-Canada bilateral relationship. You are a consistent advocate when it counts for CTBC members and for Canadian firms in general. And for that, before CTB Chair, excuse me, I just have to, the Honorable Gar Knudsen introduces Ambassador Jamal Khokhar, I'd like to mention that Gar testified on the issue of military export permits to Turkey during a meeting last month of the House and Commons Committee for Foreign Affairs. For those of you who are interested, a link to that testimony will soon be available on the CTPC webpage. We certainly hope that we can get trade back on in full force with Turkey in the foreseeable future. Gar, over to you.
Thanks very much, Michael, and welcome to all the participants this morning. Before I do what Michael asked me to do, I just want to go sideways and publicly thank him for the tremendous amount of work he does throughout the year, but in particular for putting this event together. These things don't happen by accident, and it would not be an exaggeration to say that Mike does about 99% of the work, if not more. I also want to thank our 2 ambassadors, both for participating. I've been involved through the years in a number of business councils, and access to both the Canadian Embassy and the Turkish Embassy is not something that we take for granted. And we appreciate that your participation certainly raises the status and the quality of this meeting and the usefulness to our members. So from a personal point of view, thank you. Now for my formal obligation, I would like to take this opportunity to introduce His Excellency Jamal Khokhar. He's certainly a very highly qualified foreign service officer and diplomat when I look at his background, I think that the defining characteristic is his breadth. His experience is extremely varied, which speaks to a high level of intelligence, ability to be a quick learner, and a commitment to work hard for the Canadian interests and represent Canada to a very high quality abroad. Ambassador Khokhar has been ambassador since November of 2019. He's credited to Georgia, Azerbaijan, and Turkmenistan. From 2015 to 2019, he was on leave from the Canadian government and served as president and CEO of the Institute for the Americas. From 2010 to 2015, so 5 years, he was Canada's ambassador to Brazil. So he has 2 prominent countries in a row, Brazil and Turkey. As a senior career diplomat with global affairs, his other key appointments include being Director General for Latin America and the Caribbean. He was instrumental in developing Canada's America strategy. Later, he was Regional Director for Latin America and the Caribbean and the Canadian International Development Agency, where he redesigned and oversaw bilateral development assistance program in the region. This included oversight for programming in Haiti at the time of the 2010 earthquake, then Canada's 2nd largest bilateral aid program. So we give our best diplomats hard assignments and committed to trying to relieve or participate in an intelligent way in terms of foreign aid to Haiti after the 2010 earthquake would have been a tremendous challenge. Prior to that time, he was on leave from government. He served as the Inter-American Development Bank in Washington as Chief of Staff to the President, where he supported the bank's transformation and renewal agenda. Other notable international assignments, including serving 5 years as Canada's embassy in the United States, deputy head of the economic trade policy section. He's served in other countries, including Lagos, Nigeria, Sao Paulo, in Brazil. Mr. Khokhar studied at McGill University the University of Ottawa and the American University of Washington in DC. In 2000 and 2003, he was a fellow at the Harvard University Weatherhead Center for International Affairs. He studied post 9/11 issues, religion, justice and peace, and foreign policy. So as I said, tremendous depth and breadth of experience in a very deep educational background, and someone of high quality, and it's really to Canada's benefit that we have him as in our foreign service, and we're grateful that he's now ambassador from Canada to Turkey. So, Ambassador.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Knudsen, and I'm exhausted just listening to that list. I think I should take a break now. And many of your colleagues will, who are listening, saying, well, he's done all this stuff in the Americas, what's he doing in Turkey? And I have to tell you that Turkey was, in fact, top of my list of the countries that was offered me to come to, just because of the dynamic country that it is, the huge trade potential that exists, and the wonderful relationship that exists between Canada and Turkey, and certainly the potential that's there. But before I launch into that discussion, I wanted to thank Mike Ward and of course the Office of International Investments at the Office of the Presidency for supporting this event. And Mike, as Ambassador Uras has said, I'm a full fan and a cheerleader for the CTBC, and I would urge anybody who's not a member to join and support your efforts. You're doing a great job, and the organization really has done an exceptional job in promoting the trade and economic relationship between our two countries. So always delighted to support your events, and I'm always happy to be a partner in crime with my good friend Ambassador Uras. You know, it's funny when you talk about ambassadors, we're always accused of being ambassadors from the other countries. So, you know, part of the job is to ensure that while we represent the flag behind us, we're also there advocating as firmly as we can and enthusiastically as we can for the bilateral relationship. And I can think of no better partner than Kerim Bey to do that. I'm also very fortunate to have followed Kerim because he actually did all the hard work. He kind of gave you the statistics, is what the relationship is all about, the intense sort of the bilateral aspects in terms of both trade and the investment. But I think what he had underscored most is the huge potential that exists between us. It's always easy to sit back and say that the relationship is going well. But I remember when I presented credentials to the president, he reminded me very directly that what it really spoke to was the immense potential that existed in the work that needed to be done to help advance that relationship. And that's certainly, I think, the mandate that both Ambassador Uras and I, and in fact our respective teams here in Turkey, both in Istanbul and in Ankara, and of course the wonderful network of offices across Canada that Turkey has. So there's no shortage of organizational support to Canadian companies and individuals looking to advance their trade and investment interests in either country. So, you know, do take a moment to call on the services that are represented both by the Trade Commissioner Service here in Turkey, but obviously by the trade offices and the representations that exist both at the embassy in Ottawa and the various consul generals across the country. So as Mr. Knudsen had mentioned, I've been in Turkey now for a little over 2 years, and it literally feels like I just arrived. And like for many of you, the last year and a half has been a bit of a blur in many respects. Literally the day that I arrived or shortly thereafter, we had just signed the first Joint Economic and Trade Commission agreement between our two countries, which was a landmark or a threshold towards advancing the bilateral trade and investment agenda between our two countries, and is slated to be at the ministerial level on alternate years, and senior officials in between engaging to talk with not only businesses but with senior government officials in both of our governments to talk about the potential, the opportunities that exist, But fundamentally, and this is from the perspective of the business, what are some of the stumbling blocks? What are sort of the problem areas that we in government and both sides have to do better to make things smoother and to iron out some of those bugs in the system that allows for our very dynamic trade and investment partners in both of our countries to take advantage of that potential that we've talked about? So as I mentioned to you, when we arrived, it was, a Joint Economic Trade Commission meeting got signed in November, and I thought it was going to be smooth sailing and hard work on the trade and investment file. But of course, we had this big speed bump in the road called COVID that had really sort of, I think, hindered a lot of the dynamic work that we were hoping to do in terms of getting both missions from Turkey to Canada, from Canada here to Turkey, and not just have these sort of webinars, which are extremely useful, but in no way can replace sort of rubbing shoulders with business people and talking about the hard work that can be done and helping sort of make those connections personally. But I know that with the organization that we have behind us, both in Canada through Mike's organization, of course, with Nurdan Hanim in Istanbul, the organizational network is there to support it, but we just now be able to get people on airplanes. And as Kerim Bey said, that we are very happy to have the multiplicity of flights that now Turkish Airlines offers to Canada, and as he said, we hope to see flights coming the other way as well. But I'm looking at getting on one of those flights, so and get to meet Canadian companies that are interested coming to Turkey, and likewise coming back here. Now, I mentioned JETCO very briefly, and I don't want to go into too much detail on it because it is really a government-to-government type of an opportunity for senior officials to meet and to talk about some of the nuts and bolts of what's working and more effectively what's not working, as well as pursuing some of the opportunities that are over the horizon. And I know that our friends here in Istanbul and in Ankara have talked a lot about the potential for free trade agreements, and of course that's always preceded by something like a foreign investment protection agreement. And I know that just in the last few months, it's been on Canada's shoulders to have come up with a model for a FIPA, or a foreign investment protection agreement, which would then, once it's been agreed to by the minister, in this case, Minister of Trade, then allows our trade negotiators and others to start having bilateral consultations on actually looking at the nuts and bolts in that type of agreement. So with that announcement just come out in the last couple of months, we're happy to now push our colleagues back in Ottawa to start thinking about Turkey as a priority market where we can start to look at that agreement. So I hope we can see some work on that move ahead in this year. And just as though the first JETCO was held in November, as both Ambassador Uras and I've said several times, the first meeting is always a success, right? The fact that it happened, the fact that we got an agreement makes it successful. It's the second meetings and the third meetings that we want to make sure that rope in government officials on both sides and ensure their long-term commitment, but also the commitment of Canadian and Turkish companies to actually carrying through. I mean, what these agreements do is simply open doors, and what we need are businesses and investments to walk through the doors and make trade happen. And so the last year's JETCO was postponed because of COVID, and we're hoping to see JETCO 2.0, as it were, take place sometime this fall. And Kerim Bey and myself will come back to our constituencies with news on some firm timing for that. But I'm happy to also note that the overarching theme, if you will, or of this year's JETCO is going to be on innovation. And that's kind of a sexy catchphrase that people will look at and say, well, innovation is in everything. And that's right, it is. And I think the way that both of us and our respective offices look at innovation, that it's not just about what we're conducting here is innovation through a webinar or using ICT or apps or technology in that way, but think about innovation as applied to the very real economy that exists in both in our countries, and that is the fundamentals of mining and the natural resources and extraction, or agriculture, or very traditional manufacturing sectors, innovation impacts those sectors in ways that we sometimes don't even think about. And when I look at the potential that exists, whether it's in life sciences, within the automotive sector, the aerospace sector, the agricultural sector, I think these are areas that our two respective communities, both in Turkey and Canada, have pointed to as being priorities for them in the areas of innovation. And so delighted to see that. And of course, when we think about that, we should also think about sustainable development. And when climate change, and of course, we're going to see the G7 coming up soon, where climate will be discussed, COP thereafter. And climate change affects clean technologies. And of course, because Turkey and Canada are both heavily involved in both, as I mentioned earlier, mining and extractive resources, or oil and gas, both on and offshore, innovation as it affects those sectors, I think will be very, very, very, very important. We talk about digital transformation as well, and R&D and partnerships, and it's nice to be sitting in Turkey, and it's an easy example to use. So I'm gonna pretend I'm the Turkish ambassador right now, and hats off to two extraordinary innovators, Turkish innovators, who in Germany discovered one of the leading vaccines through BioNTech, which is now taken up by Pfizer, which is helping people, millions of people around the world, be vaccinated against this terrible pandemic. And I think therein lies two fundamental messages. Number one, that immigration and smart immigration makes a difference, and it's a benefit to all of our countries. And number two is look at what strong innovation through Turkish leaders can do in addressing not only opportunities in regional markets and European markets, but also global markets. And I think that sort of thinking will make a real difference if we can think about that openly and broadly. And so I'm very excited about that. And I know most of my staff are tired of hearing about that, but I won't let go of the innovation and the entrepreneurship agenda. So Ambassador Uras has gone over the fundamentals of the economy, and I do think that the potential is there, the fundamentals are there, and you know, when I think about Turkey, I think about the very young and vibrant and well-educated entrepreneurial class that exists here. And just last week, I chaired a webinar again with some young innovators that are very excited about going from Turkey to Canada, supported by Canadian venture capital, and teaming up with Canadian companies, their cohort, to develop their technologies, get proof of concept, proof of viability, the business mentoring that needs to take place to attack not only the North American market through Canada, but also into the United States, but global markets generally. And I'm looking forward to seeing that same action happen, bringing Canadian entrepreneurs and innovators here, because certainly the supply lines and supply relationships, whether it's in the automotive sector, the appliance sector, the aerospace sector, and life sciences, just to name a few, the opportunities are significant. And we need to think out of the box. It's not just about the traditional trade that's going extraordinarily well, but to try to attract a new cohort, a new generation of entrepreneurs and innovators to explore both of our markets. So there are niche opportunities on both sides. And our teams in Istanbul, and Kerim Bey has already talked about the network that exists across Canada. Of course, the Trade Commissioner Service for Canada in Turkey is based in Istanbul. I'd love to be in Istanbul, and I hope to go back and forth more often, but they're there. And of course, our EDC office, our regional office is based there, and you're going to hear from Famer, who runs that and is keen to talk to Canadian companies as well as Turkish companies about the both specialized and boutique services, but the general services that EDC offers here. And of course, our Trade Commissioner Services there to support Canadian companies looking to do business here. So with that, thank you very much for this opportunity. I really wish I could be there with you, speaking to the audience in person and having an opportunity. Jump on one of those wonderful Turkish airline flights and come to Turkey. It's easier for you actually to come here than for me to go there. There's still a quarantine on in Canada. But hopefully we're going to get through this together. And with that, once again, Mike, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Kaymaz from the Investment Office of the Presidency in Turkey, and Nurdan for your ongoing support, and look forward to connecting with all of you either in person or informally through the email, and make our trade commissioners work for you. With that, thank you.
Wow, you're right. You arrived at a very tough time, but you've made such a terrific impression in the year and a half you've been representing Canada and Turkey with all our members and beyond our membership. And despite the pandemic and some other very time-consuming issues, and we all know what they were, you still managed to raise the bar in terms of setting a proactive agenda that will no doubt significantly advance bilateral commercial relations to new heights. So we're doubly blessed. We've got a great Turkish ambassador to Canada, and we couldn't ask for a better Canadian ambassador to Turkey. So thank you both. And we're just getting warmed up. It's now my pleasure to introduce Necmettin Kaymaz, the US and Canada Country Director for the Presidential Investment Office of Turkey. Necmettin Bey has been working with the Presidential Investment Office since its establishment in 2007. Immediately after joining the office, he set up the Directorate of Economic and Sectoral Research, and he managed that office for 6 years. He subsequently took on several senior roles in project management and strategy development with the Investment Office, and of course is now in Washington. He is very proactive in promoting Canadian FDI into Turkey. In fact, it's a result of a call from him that led to today's event. In addition to his international work with the Investment Office, he worked previously with both UN and EU institutions in New York and Brussels in various capacities. Necmettin Bey, over to you.
Thank you, Mike, for this excellent presentation, introduction. Can you see my presentation?
Looks good. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mike, again, for your assistance and for organizing this webinar. My presentation is going to be actually what the two distinguished ambassadors has just touched upon. So apologies if I sound repetitive. I'll be talking about the main reasons to invest in Turkey, why Canadian investors should consider investing in Turkey, why foreign investors or existing Canadian investors have been investing in Turkey. There are many reasons to invest in Turkey, starting from the robust economy to the strategic location, domestic market potential, favorable demographic, skilled workforce, research and development ecosystem, incentives and business environment, and as well as its diversified and strong manufacturing industry. To begin with the economy, Turkey has sustained robust and resilient economic growth over the past 18 years with an average annual real GDP growth rate of more than 5%, and which made Turkey one of the fastest growing economies in the region. As you can see, Turkey has been positively distinguished from peer economies in the region. Last year, Turkey once again proved to be resilient in a time when the COVID-19 has hit hard all economies across the world. Turkey managed to avoid an economic contraction thanks to the government's targeted measures and policies, which have significantly mitigated the negative result of the pandemic. The economy has more than tripled over the past 18 years, and this growth has been driven mainly by private investments, export opportunities, and a strong domestic market with a growing middle class. The economic growth has translated into a sizable middle class with an increasing purchasing power. As such, Turkey further converged with the advanced economies, as you can see here. Turkey has a total population of 84 million, and the domestic market is quite diverse and dynamic, with 24 emerging urban centers with population over 1 million. However, opportunities are not limited to the domestic market only. Turkey also offers free access to lucrative markets in the region. As we have custom union with the EU, we have free access to the EU market. We also have free trade agreements with some 25 countries all in all, you can have free access to almost 1 billion potential consumers in the region from Turkey. Access to these markets is further supported by Turkey's strategic location, which makes Turkey a regional hub for multinational companies to manufacture, to export, and manage their operations in the region. As you can see, many global companies have been using Turkey as a manufacturing hub for years because of its proximity to the markets in the region, especially in Europe, MENA, and Central Asia, and which you can fly and you can access within 4-hour flight distance. As I previously talked about, we have free trade agreements with the countries in the region, and connectivity, as also the previous speakers talk about. Turkish Airlines connects you to 269 international destinations in more than 125 countries. Such a convenient location has enabled Turkey to tap significant export opportunities in the region and increase its share in the global trade. Again, as Ambassador Khokhar talked about, with half of its population below age 33, Turkey's young, dynamic, and growing population is another attractive factor for investors, as it continues to boost working age population with a low dependency ratio. Turkey offers a skilled labor force with a comparative cost advantage, especially in terms of qualified engineers and competent senior managers. As you can see, compared with peer economies in the region, Turkey has a favorable position in terms of availability of qualified engineers, as well as availability of competent senior managers. This workforce is further supported by a robust education system, which promotes and facilitates cooperation between academia and industry. As you can see, almost 1 million students graduate from universities every year. And Turkey's education policy has significantly transformed Turkish labor force. There are more than 200 universities in Turkey, and with over 50 universities, Istanbul has one of the largest concentration of universities and higher education institutions in the world. The educated and qualified workforce has also been a driver of the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Turkey, with successful startups going global. As a result, Turkish startups have attracted significant investments from all around the world, which resulted in 3 unicorns over the past years. Here you can see how Turkish startups are creating values when we look at the exit value of the startups. For example, over the past decade, Turkish startups raised a total funding of $800 million. That's less than $1 billion, as you can see. And when we look at the exit value of these startups, you can see it has exponentially increased to $6 billion. And a decade ago, Turkey's startup ecosystem was almost non-existent, as you can see here. However, over a decade, it has significantly transformed into one of the fastest growing and promising ecosystem in the world. Turkey has a continuous reform policy, implementing sweeping reforms in many areas, including exclusive reforms for startups, which transform the ecosystem. And these reforms have transformed and improved Turkey's investment climate, making it one of the most liberal and business-friendly countries in the world. The point here which I want to give is that Turkey has a continuous policy introducing new reforms as required by the changing conditions and requirements of the international business and companies. And the second point is that reforms are not only on paper, they have tangible, solid results on the ground. For example, back in early 2000, establishing a company was taking more than a month in Turkey, and now it takes almost a week to establish a company in Turkey. Again, a business environment has significantly been improved as a result of these reforms. Turkey has an exclusive foreign direct investment law protecting investments in Turkey. We have also bilateral investment protection and promotion treaties with some 75 countries. And as Ambassador talked about, negotiations are ongoing to have an agreement with Canada as well. We also have treaties to avoid double taxation with some 80 countries. We also, Turkey also actively support investors through exclusively designed incentive and various investment projects ranging from manufacturing to R&D projects. Exclusive incentives for R&D and innovation created a benign ecosystem which attracted over 200 multinational companies to establish R&D centers in Turkey. As you can see, major multinational companies have been conducting significant research and development activities in Turkey. Turkey has a diversified economy with a strong and advanced manufacturing industry, which is supported by a robust infrastructure and efficient services. Previous speakers talk about the opportunities in various sectors. Here we have opportunities in automotive, not only conventional manufacturing, but also Turkey is embarking on transformation of the auto industry toward electric vehicles. Machinery, electrical equipments, again, aerospace and defense, as previous speakers talk about. Energy, not only conventional energy, but also renewable energy opportunities. Turkey has been significantly investing and supporting these industry toward greener and clean energy. Chemicals, again, another industry, infrastructure, PPP projects. Canadian companies are also active. I know a couple of them, especially consulting companies, and ICT. Again, digital transformation is strongly supported by public and private sectors in Turkey, which creates opportunities for many companies. Turkey's diverse and strong industrial capabilities moved up the value chain, transitioning from limited manufacturing to advanced manufacturing in the global value chain, as you can see, according to a recent report by the World Bank. That's why, according to a recent Fitch analysis, Turkey stands to gain the most from a shift of supply chains of mid-range manufacturing in emerging Europe. Now, as a result of all these factors and advantages, Turkey's advantages and opportunities have been appreciated by foreign investors with increasing foreign direct investment flows over the past 18 years. As you can see, Turkey has significantly increased FDI over the past 18 years. And Turkey is attracting foreign direct investment from all around the world and to many diverse sectors, from finance to manufacturing, from energy to services. Speaking of the bilateral relations, here is a snapshot of the bilateral relations with Canada. Currently, we have over 1 billion Canadian dollar stock of Canadian foreign direct investment in Turkey as of 2019. We have almost 500 Canadian companies active in Turkey, and bilateral trade is around 3 billion Canadian dollars as of 2020. And potential partnerships are not only limited to investing in Turkey. Turkish companies have a strong footprint in the region, especially in contracting services. Hence, Canadian and Turkish companies can cooperate in third countries. And the investment office, let me briefly talk about what services we offer, how we can help you. We are a governmental agency attached to the Office of President. We are a bridge between private sector and public sector with all public sector capabilities. And we act as a solution partner for investors. We provide information, any kind of information, general and customized information that investors may need. We also help companies for site selections to find the appropriate land for their manufacturing facilities in Turkey. We arrange their meeting with the governmental agencies as well as with potential partners in Turkey. Once you invest in Turkey, we don't stop there. We continue to serve you after your investments as a kind of aftercare services. Last but not least, for any matter regarding investing in Turkey, you're more than welcome to contact me. For any matter regarding trading with Turkey, you can contact my very distinguished colleagues in Ottawa and Toronto. With that, I think my presentation ends here. Yes, thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much for that presentation, Necmettin Bey. I've already received a couple of requests for a copy of your presentation. Are you okay with us making it available to those who would like to have it?
I'm almost okay. I'll be okay at the end of the webinar.
Okay, thank you. Just a reminder to everyone that you can send written questions via Zoom. I see that I've also received questions via my email account on WhatsApp and also on my other social media accounts. So that's fine. I'm just checking them. So just keep those questions coming. So now I'd like to introduce Famer Engin, EDC's Istanbul-based senior representative for a region that includes the Eastern Mediterranean and Central Asia. Many of you will already know Famer Bey from the well-received EDC webinar series. There were 4 of them in all that he initiated and hosted earlier this year to introduce Canadian businesses to commercial opportunities in Turkey and to highlight the many services EDC offers to its clients. Prior to joining EDC, Famer Bey worked as a financial advisor for Denmark's Export Credit Agency. Before that, he worked as the deputy general manager at Renova Economics and Investment Consulting, and he started his career in Citigroup Corporate and investment banking in New York, and he worked as a vice president in his fixed income division. His full bio, as for all of today's speakers, is included on the registration page for this event. Famer Bey, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mike. His Excellency Jamal Khokhar, His Excellency Kerim Uras, distinguished participants, it is a great pleasure to be here today. Special thanks to CTBC and Mike Ward for the opportunity. I'm very excited about today's program. I have about 15 minutes, not enough time to talk about the specifics of our products and services, but I would be more than happy to have a detailed discussion with you after this program if you are interested in the Turkish market, but I will provide the fundamentals. EDC is the official export credit agency of Canada. We are a crown corporation, so our shareholder is the government of Canada, but we operate on commercial principles and we are a self-financing organization. We have our own treasury, so we raise our own funds, and we are one of the largest export credit agencies in the world, and we have AAA credit rating. Very few financial institutions left with a AAA credit rating. EDC is one of those, so I think this is a proud point to emphasize. And as I mentioned, we have a very strong balance sheet and about $70 billion worth of assets. We are local, yet at the same time international. We have 20 rep offices globally and a branch office in Singapore, including our representative office in Istanbul. And we have 22 offices in Canada as well. If you look to EDC's footprint in different sectors and geographies, on the sector side, I think we covered the whole spectrum. As you all know, Canada is a global leader in mining and also in oil and gas. So these are definitely areas that we've provided tremendous amount of support over the years. But more and more, as the previous speakers noted, we see Canadian companies shaping the global landscape in innovative areas, in areas like advanced manufacturing, digitalization, clean tech, artificial intelligence, renewable energy. So I expect that EDC is going to be more active in these sectors in the near future, but we will certainly continue to support the more traditional economies going forward as well. In terms of geographies, United States is Canada's largest trading partner, hence North America has the lion's share here, but certainly Turkey is a very important market for EDC, and I will be talking about our activities in Turkey in a minute. This is a snapshot of our basically impact in 2020. As I mentioned, we are one of the largest export credit agencies, or ECA for short, one of the largest ECAs in the world. I'm not going to talk about all the numbers here. Maybe I'll pick a couple. First of all, we facilitated more than $100 billion worth of financing just in 2020 alone. So it is a big number. But I don't want to give the impression that EDC only supports large Canadian companies or large projects internationally. Most of our clients are SMEs, and we want to certainly support SMEs more and more, and this is definitely going to be a focus area for us in the near future. As I mentioned, we are one of the largest ECAs, one of the strongest ECAs. I think we have probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest, balance sheet in the ECA world, but we are also one of the most innovative ECAs in the world as well. I think EDC is very unique in its product portfolio. When you look to the traditional ECA space, especially from the developed markets, and primarily in Europe, you see export credit agencies facilitating exports from those countries through guarantees. Basically, ECA would assume the commercial risk, the political risk, and provide guarantees to financial institutions, but then the financing will come from banks. This is the typical structure, but we're not very typical. As I mentioned, we are very unique. First of all, we can provide direct lending to projects, to international buyers, to Canadian companies. We don't need a bank in the middle, as we have our own treasury. But beyond that, we can do much more than that. First of all, we can provide Canadian direct investment abroad support to Canadian investments abroad. And this is, I think, an important point to emphasize, as this is the main theme of this program. So as a Canadian company, you may be interested in making an investment in the Turkish market. It could be a strategic investment. For instance, you could be building a factory in Turkey to cater the Turkish market, or maybe the market around Turkey. It's perfectly fine. Or you could be maybe making a more opportunistic investment in Turkey, say in a renewable energy power plant. Typically, when you have ECAs, there's going to be a mandate angle. So for us, the mandate is the Canadian content. This is the typical requirement for us. But as a Canadian company, your involvement in the project justifies our mandate. So we can actually provide financing to these international investments just because you are a Canadian company, just because you are investing in these projects and in these opportunities. I think this is a huge advantage for Canadian companies. I believe we provided $16 billion worth of financing in 2019, just to give you a sense. And EDC is, again, one of the most capable financial institutions, certainly in Canada, and we have a very experienced project finance team that can support various industries. Okay, I hear.
Well, it went viral.
Okay, so this is an important angle that I wanted to emphasize, and certainly we can support in the Turkish market as well. If you are the main shareholder of this investment, we can finance most of the project. But I recognize that in markets like Turkey, you may want to partner with local companies. It is perfectly fine. And if you are a minority shareholder in this investment, then our support will be proportional to your share, your involvement in the company. But we can still support the project. We can still support the investments. So again, if you are interested in making an investment in the Turkish market, please feel free to reach out. Our job is to make your life easier in the international markets. I'm just a phone call away. Please let us know. In addition to providing support to your investments, we can also provide you support in Canada if you want to build a capacity. For instance, you may want to grow your manufacturing base in Canada. Certainly, these are areas where we can help you in Canada as well. We can also help you develop the trade. We have very unique programs. Again, the time is very limited. I'm just going to kind of go over them very quickly. But for instance, we can provide proactive financing to large international corporations, and then develop a roadmap with these companies so that they will procure from Canada in the future. We have been working with some of the large Turkish companies under this program, and primarily these days we are focused on the infrastructure and power sectors in Turkey. So again, if you are a Canadian exporter with a focus on infrastructure, power, renewable energy, please let us know, and we will be more than happy to facilitate introductions in the Turkish market. As you know, we know the Turkish market very well, and the market knows us very well. Just to maybe sum up the product portfolio, as I mentioned, we can provide direct lending, we can provide financing to projects, to companies in Canada, to international buyers, to international clients. We can also provide insurance solutions. We use insurance solutions quite a bit, especially for commodities. Canada is a major exporter of commodities, pulses, scrap metal, wood chips, and so on. This is, I think, a very important product to support the trade between Canada and Turkey, and certainly EDC, I think, supports a majority of the share between Canada, from Canada to Turkey. The other one is knowledge. As I mentioned, we are a very large organization, one of the largest, I would say, international financial institutions in Turkey in terms of our impact. So we know the market very well, and the market knows us very well. We have a very strong reputation in Turkey, and we would be more than happy to help you leverage that knowledge. We work very closely with Trade Commissioner Services, as the ambassador mentioned. I think we have an excellent team at the Trade Commissioner Services. Please leverage this. It is free of charge, and our job again is to make your life easier, to help you grow and succeed internationally. The Connections program is the one that I just mentioned, where we provide proactive financing, upfront financing to large corporates, and then introduce Canadian capabilities to these companies so that the Canadian companies could be part of their supply chain. To be more precise about our activities in Turkey, we established the Istanbul representation in 2010 as a regional office. We covered the Eastern Mediterranean, primarily the Balkans, Israel, out of Istanbul, Turkey, as well as the Caucasus and Central Asian markets. But Turkey is the most important market within this region, and it accounts about 75% of our business volume. To give you a sense, we facilitated more than $10 billion worth of financing to the Turkish market alone since we established our office in Istanbul. So again, Turkey is an important market for us, and I think we have a very significant impact in Turkey for the benefit of Canadian companies. This is our snapshot of 2020. But as you know, and as the previous speakers noted, 2020 was not a very typical year for anyone. It was a very challenging year for everyone, actually. And as a result, the numbers are a little lower than what would have been. Just to give you a sense, in 2018, we facilitated more than $2 billion in the Turkish market. But as you know, just maybe the balance also. I mean, Turkey, first of all, is a tremendous country. As Necmettin Bey pointed out, there are tremendous opportunities in Turkey. Always, when you listen to the investment promotion agencies of different countries, there's always that slide where they put the country in the middle, and then there's a circle around that country, and then they talk about that you can actually reach to this many billion people and this many markets or billions of consumers. But it is true in the case of Turkey. It is very true. I think there's substance behind that message. If you look to the impact of Turkish companies in the region, it is very visible. You can certainly leverage Turkey as a gateway to the Middle East, to the Central Asia, to North Africa, to Balkans, to East Europe. But there are risks as well. Just to provide the full picture, just to give you one, currency volatility has been a challenge, I think, for everyone. In 2018, in August 2018, TL, Turkish lira, depreciated quite a bit, and then that depreciation led to several quarters of contraction in the economy. Things were kind of improving at the beginning of 2020. In the first quarter of 2020, actually Turkey posted a positive growth, and things were kind of really improving. But then came COVID. Obviously, 2020 was challenging, and as a result of this contraction, and as a result of COVID, obviously Turkey's imports kind of contracted as well. So the numbers here are, I think, they don't reflect maybe the potential. The potential certainly is much more. But you have to be mindful about the risks in Turkey, and you need to look for ways to mitigate some of those risks. And again, if you are a Canadian company, I would encourage you to reach out to TCS, to reach out to us. We would be more than happy to help you out, to help you out better understand some of these risks, to maybe help you identify local partners, or ways to kind of maybe grow your business in a more prudent way. This is our exposure in Turkey. So most of our support is through loans in Turkey. We've supported many industries in the Turkish economy. Healthcare is one, ICT is another one. So large telecom companies have been a client of EDC for a very long time. Infrastructure is again a very important sector for us. We're trying to support Turkish companies also outside of Turkey and see how we can partner Canadian companies in third markets, as Necmettin Bey pointed out. We have supported the mining industry. There's a very significant mining investment in Turkey from Canadian companies. So it is very diverse. But again, going forward, I think we want to focus on more innovative areas, areas like advanced manufacturing. And because of the need for hard currency, Turkish companies these days are really looking for ways where they can export to other markets and gain hard currency. So I think there's going to be a momentum around advanced manufacturing, and we want to catch that wave if possible. And Jetco's basically team is very well aligned in terms of what we're trying to do in the Turkish market as well. So these are the main points I want to have. I want to talk about. Again, the time is very limited, but I want to conclude with again saying that we are here to help you. EDC is one of the largest, one of the most capable, one of the strongest ECAs in the world. We have tools that no other ECA have. We are more creative, more capable, and I encourage you to talk to us, reach out to us so that we can understand your business better and help you better. And we work very closely with TCS. Again, you can almost think of us as one team. So thank you so much for your time, and look forward to talking to you after this program. Thank you.
Thank you, Necmettin Bey, for that very informative presentation. Sorry, Famer Bey, for that informative presentation. I'm just looking through the messages, and a number of people have written and asked for copies of both the presentations. So, Famer Bey, do you have any? Are you okay with?
Of course, more than
yeah?
more than happy.
Okay, thanks very much. So we will open it up now for questions. Please feel free to submit them if you've got. There's a couple on asking about the timeline for Turkey moving more fully out of the pandemic, more into business, getting back into full swing. So there's one, when can we expect to see flights to open up for Canadian business reps to travel to Turkey? But there's another one on related to education. Do we have a definite time schedule when students will be able to travel? Are student visas being issued? I'm just wondering if anyone wants to comment on that. Well,
Mike, I think the scar here, I think the fact that there's no comment means it's still a work in progress. And I would encourage everyone on the Canadian side to speak to your member of parliament. And the government, and to its credit, is not making commitments that they might have to go back on. So we don't know when the border is going to open up yet. What we do know is that the COVID numbers are improving day by day, that the rate of vaccinations or the number of vaccinations are going up by large numbers, and that case counts are going down. Beyond that, it's unclear what the federal government will do, but I think if anyone has any contacts with their member of parliament or with any of the universities, it's highly likely the universities are communicating with the government and saying, we rely on foreign students for a certain percentage of our revenue, but there's nothing publicly saying when students might be able to come back to Canada and be educated in person. What the plan of the federal government is not public, which means it's not ready to be made public yet.
Thanks, Gar. That's very helpful. I think, as both ambassadors mentioned, we all want to see missions going back and forth, and then certainly for Coral Bay, who was specifically asking about education with this company, Link Education. We want to see those students, Turkish students coming to Canada. So while we're in Toronto, Amanda in the GTA, Amanda from the Brampton Economic Development Office asked about startups. Now, this is a question probably for our next webinar, but let's see, let's give it a try. She says, is there interest from the startups to scale up and grow in the Canadian marketplace? What factors, so to be Turkish startups, what factors contribute to their decision-making regarding choosing a location for global expansion? So if one of our two presenters or both could answer that, that'd be great.
I'll give it a go. I mean, it's not, again, an area that we are focused, very much in the Turkish market, but, a couple of points. First of all, Canada, I think, has been growing quite a bit as an alternative to Silicon Valley. I think there's a very strong ecosystem in Canada for innovation. As EDC, we also have an equity program where we support Canadian startups. So it's, I think, a great place to kind of start as the next phase of your growth. It is not US, for instance, the costs are a little more manageable. You are going to be able to still get a significant amount of financing from very credible VCs. There is that ecosystem in Canada. There is the innovation angle. I think Canadian companies in general are quite innovative and will hopefully adapt new technologies a little quicker compared to other markets. And as you know, Canada is one of the most advanced economies in the world. It is a G7 economy, a very stable economy as well. So I think you have all the ingredients for success for a startup. I think competitive cost base, very innovative economy, open economy, with a strong ecosystem for VC investments. And as Export Development Canada, we would be more than happy to take a look at Canadian investments, Canadian VCs, and to help them grow internationally as well. There's actually a dedicated program for it. And there are actually good success examples as well. So there are a couple of Turkish startups that already went to Canada, established offices in Canada, and became very successful and basically expanded their North American operations from Canada. They started in Canada, expanded to US and to other markets. So I would certainly encourage you to take a look at the ecosystem in Canada closely, as it's actually growing quite rapidly and became an alternative to Silicon Valley, as far as I know.
Thank you, Famer. Another question, this is from Engin Migdeli. It's what is the advantage of investing in Turkish ITC startup companies? It's a general question.
Yeah, I think, can I answer this question, Mike, right?
For sure, yes, please.
Okay. I mean, I had a slide in my presentation on ICT as well as on startups, that speaks for itself, It's a young population. The solid dynamics are very attractive. It's again, as Famer talked of in the case of Canada, we have similar case in Turkey. There is a relatively well-developed ecosystem, and the cost is competitive in terms of comparing with the major centers. And the success stories and the engineering skills, especially software skills, and population, again, young population, they're all contributing and creating opportunities for VCs as well as for startups that want to grow their business in the region.
Okay, thank you. Another one, more general, is about Turkish government support for trade shipments in the global container crisis. Is there anyone qualified to answer that, or we can obviously answer it later if you haven't got it, you haven't got something on that.
The ministry is in contact with the industry. It's a global crisis. I mean, we are all aware of that, and the Exporters Assembly is also working on this issue. And there are also some private initiatives both in Turkey as well as in Canada. I know some of them, they're also trying to seize the opportunity and offer some solutions for the bottlenecks in container crisis. But it seems a short-term problem because it was caused by the COVID. But it has medium-term implications for traders. I think my colleague Mehmet Hakan Bey also can talk about this if he is willing to.
He might be willing to, but I'm not sure Griffin, I'll leave it over to you to give get Mehmet Hakan, give him access to the microphone. I'll move on to another question right now. In terms of education, for those who wish to study in Turkey in English, what are the provisions and incentives?
The government has been supporting this industry over the past 2 decades, there is an increasing number of international students in Turkey, especially from the region, but also Turkey has introduced some exchange programs with many countries, mainly from the EU. There are some programs with the EU as part of Bologna process, they say. And the government also offers significant scholarship opportunities for undergraduate and graduate students in Turkey. And other than that, living in Turkey I think is the biggest advantage and attraction for international students to come to Turkey. And we have also good universities with strong international education systems, English education, where the language of instruction is English, both in Ankara and Istanbul, as well as in Izmir. There are really some good universities.
Thank you. John Bana is asking, what are the benefits of working in an industrial zone in Turkey?
Yeah, thank you, John Bey. Well, the biggest advantage is the infrastructure. It's already developed infrastructure within these zones. And the second advantage is, of course, the ecosystem clusterings in the region. And because those organized industrial zones have been set up within a specific strategy, developing certain clusters in certain regions. And those are the main 2 advantages of working in organized industrial zones.
Okay, thank you. Peter Young says, for a bilateral business standpoint, would there be economic assistance for Canadian company, bracket project / procurement / management / investment, or Turkish companies, bracket EPCM, for joint venturing, engaging in other countries and jurisdiction, in projects in other countries and jurisdictions?
If I may, I think there's tremendous potential in this area. We all know that Turkish EPC companies have been very successful in the international markets. I think they're only second to China in terms of their success, primarily in the region around Turkey. And Canadian companies, EPCM companies, can certainly make a difference, for instance, as owner engineers in these projects. And they can also facilitate or help build the Canadian content in these projects so that the mandate will be stronger, and the more mandate, the more support EDC can provide. You can think of EDC as more of a capacity provider. We don't compete with private banks. But we can certainly step in and then provide capacity into these projects. I think there's tremendous potential, and we've been trying to explore this potential with some of the top Turkish EPC companies. As Ambassador Uras mentioned, some of them visited Canada before to understand some of the key ecosystems such as power and infrastructure in different areas, say airports, ports, roads, and so on. I certainly feel there's a potential in this area, and would encourage Canadian companies to look to basically the procurement websites of these companies, register there, and then get notified about the opportunities so that things can be more tangible going forward.
Okay, thank you very much. There's another one. Well, somebody's interested in hearing about opportunities in the Turkish energy sector. Is there any update on reports of significant natural gas reserves found in the Black Sea? So somebody from Canadian energy sector is interested in that.
So I'll leave it to maybe Necmettin Bey, as it's more Turkey related, but as you know, Canada is a global leader in this area. We are also trying to understand the developments and follow them very closely. It has been a very significant discovery, and I think some of the studies already started. As far as I know, Turkey is making significant investments in this area. There's certainly potential, and there are further explorations as well, as far as I understand. But maybe Necmettin Bey can provide more color on this.
There has been a significant discovery, and we're also working with the ministry to see if there are any opportunities for international investors. Turkey is always open to international investors in this area, and but it is still at the developing stage, and we would be very happy in the future if there is any significant interest from Canadian investors. We would be very happy to connect them with the Minister of Energy.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, so this one is sort of a statement, and it has a question. My business is considering using our presence in Turkey as a hub to expand our reach into both the EU and Middle East region. We are especially encouraged that bilateral relations seem to be warming up with countries like Egypt and Gulf states. This won't happen overnight, but it should certainly help expand business ties. What about the long-running on-again, off-again discussions to expand the customs union agreement with the EU? Is there any chance of deepening trade ties with the EU in the near term? Good question.
There have been significant progress and negotiations in terms of upgrading the custom unions with the EU. Turkey is willing to upgrade and update the custom unions with the EU, and it has been constant with the European Commission. And that's the position Turkey has had over the past decade, and because it has been on agenda. But there are also some other developments in bilateral relations. Both parties want to upgrade. Business people, companies, both from the EU and Turkey, they are supporting upgrade and update of the custom unions to cover services and some other areas which are not currently covered by the custom union. I can't tell anything about the time when it will be updated and upgraded, but there is a strong will from both sides to upgrade and update. It requires 10 intensive negotiations with 27 country EU bloc, but Turkey and the EU, the Commission, and are all supporting to upgrade and update the custom union agreement.
Okay, thanks very much. Now, I want to stick to the time. But I just, you're doing such a great job. Just a request here from one of the people who registered asking, after this meeting, could I have email addresses of the speakers? So I'll certainly make that available to Atif. So that wraps up our Q&A session. Thank you all for your questions and those of you who answered for your answers. Before signing off, CTBC President Omar Al-Khatib will briefly summarize the key points from today, and he'll make some additional closing remarks. So Omar, over to you, please.
Thank you, Mike. So you got him, Honorable Ambassador, all of our speakers and participants today. On behalf of CTBC, our board and our members and all of the participants on the call today, I certainly wish to extend our sincerest thank you for the time you spent with us, the perspectives offered, and the thoughts shared on economic, investment, and business ties between Turkey and Canada. As we've heard from many of our speakers today, both in the presentations, from our ambassadors, and from the questions shared by Mike, Canada and Turkey have long been partners with expanding ties over the years, both in governmental and diplomatic areas, but most importantly, in this forum, in terms of trade and economic growth. The presentations and discussions we've had today certainly demonstrate that it is clear there's many opportunities in a number of sectors for the establishment of improved growth, improved economic ties between Canadian and Turkish companies in a variety of sectors. The details shared by our speakers and the perspectives that they've offered certainly provides an overview of the opportunities and programs that are in place for both Canadian and Turkish companies in their investments and business areas in both countries. While it is the place of business and private enterprise to build on these opportunities with investment of capital and building of business relationships, it is with the support of the respective governments and the agencies and offices that they provide to support these areas in both countries, with a wide range of programs supporting investment and business development. And this certainly plays a big part in strengthening the ties we have seen and the ongoing discussion of trade between our two governments and the economic development between our two countries. As Mike mentioned, if you do have a follow-up question or would like to get in contact with any of our speakers today, please do reach out to Mike and he'd be happy to put you in contact. Additionally, I would like to acknowledge that we have been so lucky to have both of our ambassadors, Excellencies Ambassador Uras and Ambassador Khokhar, on the last few sessions hosted by CTBC, as they have been so kind to provide their views, their perspectives, and their expertise in this area. Thank you both for your time and your participation in this and all of the CTBC webinars and events that you have to date, and we certainly look forward to your participation in future events. Certainly, there are challenges, and as there are in any worthwhile endeavor from time to time. However, it is with the strong leadership of both ambassadors and the work of their respective staff, the commitment of both the Canadian and the Turkish governments, and the continued investment and focus by Canadian and Turkish companies that provide the optimism that we share as we look forward to continued expansion of economic and business ties supported by CTBC with events such as the one we have enjoyed today. In the end, we all know that Turkey is a great place to do business for Canadian companies, and Canada represents advantages for Turkish companies in terms of market development. I think that our sessions today and the presentations certainly illustrate that. Finally, to Mike, and Mike on behalf of the CTBC board and all of our members and the participants on the call today, we thank you for your great work that you're doing to expand business and investment ties between Canada and Turkey. For all those participants still on the call, we urge you to reach out to Mike to obtain a membership package and to join CTBC to continue to support investment, business, and trade promotion between Canada and Turkey with CTBC. With those thank yous, I extend best wishes to everyone on our call today, and we certainly hope to see you on in our series of webinars coming in the future. Watch your email box for more information. Thank you.
Thanks very much. And you'll see Mehmet Ekazolu there, the hardworking guy in Toronto, and his boss, the Consul General, Sinem Hanım. Hardworking team in Toronto. So it's a team effort for sure. So thanks very much. And there was one question I missed, John Bana. I'll make sure I try to get an answer for you.
Thank you so much.
All the best.
Thanks very much, everyone. Gar here, signing off.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. and nice to see all our consul generals who are all hardworking
That's right.
and everyone doing their own show in their respective places. I say hi to them all. And nice to see friends from Turkey, Nurdan Hanım, Necmettin Bey, Bader Shamim, and nice to see you all.
Thank
I'm
you.
signing off. Take care.
Thank you.
That's
And
right.
Pınar, of course, Mehmet Bey.
Evet.
Thank you.
İrem Hanım. Thank you, Mike. Thank you all.
All the best.
Yes, thank you.